I'm Chris Luscombe, and I'm lucky enough to be directing L'Élysée d'Amore, The Elixir of Love. What a perfect comedy title that is. And that's what I'm doing at Garsington this summer. I suppose the key theme of the opera is love. It's just about love, isn't it? It's all about the trials and tribulations of falling in love, and the agony when it doesn't quite work out, when it doesn't quite land in the right place, and then perhaps it does. And so I suppose it's all told through the lens of it's a very sympathetic, warm Italian lens. Everything is sun-baked, everything is summer, everything is young. And so I suppose that's what I want to bring out in the piece, really, just something which feels like a real tonic. I think what I've really drawn on to create the opera, to create this production, is my own holidays in Italy. Because for me, going to Italy is always such a thrill, and it always has been. I've always just been in love with everything Italian. And I think a lot of us feel that way, probably. And so I wanted it really to reflect those sort of holiday experiences, to feel almost like the operatic equivalent of an Italian summer holiday. And I think I first felt that perhaps I would put it into modern dress, because I felt it could reflect our own real experiences. But actually, there's something about mobile phones and all the gadgets of modern life that is, well, it's far too depressing, really. I wanted it to be more escapist than that, I think. And also, I don't think the story quite works if you set it now. I feel that maybe we're all just too cynical, and the characters wouldn't really fall for this idea of an elixir. I just think we'd be a little bit too wise for all that. So I wanted to set it back a little bit in a world which is more romantic, more picturesque, actually, if I'm honest. And I think I fairly early hit on the idea of post-Second World War. I think because of the soldiers in the story, we had to be in a world where there were soldiers sort of hanging around the place. And I thought, I didn't want it to be wartime because it feels far more sunny than that. And I felt post-war, when everyone's celebrating and happy and we've won and it's all great and we're free at last, I thought that was going to work well, and I could believe in there being GIs around who have been engaged in warfare, but are now just really making peace and sorting things out and having affairs with the local girls, and it just all felt right to me. So that's where we're setting it. I suppose with any opera, you want to be moved, you want to be excited, you want perhaps in a comic opera, you want to have a laugh, and I think it does all of those things. I mean, when I met Madison, who's playing Adina, she said to me, the thing about Elixir is that it starts off with some great tunes, but the tunes get better and better and better as it goes along. I think that's true. I just feel it's so melodic, it's so wonderful. I mean, it's a great opera perhaps when you haven't ever been to the opera before. It's great because it would introduce people to opera, make them feel opera is accessible, because it's so immediately entertaining. And I do love that about it. I'm not afraid to say that. And in fact, I slightly feel that it strikes me as being, although it was written way back in the early 19th century, it feels like it can almost be the beginnings of the world of musical theatre. And I'm going to have dancing, I'm going to have obviously the singing, the acting, the spectacle that you'd expect with a musical. So I think it has a lot of, I mean, I often feel it's almost like an opera that Gilbert and Sullivan would have been pleased to have written. You know, I think it's got that quality, but also it's got this romantic comedy element. It really tugs at the heartstrings. It's about two unlikely characters who really are going to get together, but it's just seeing how long we can keep them apart before they do get together at the end. And that should have all the impact, I think, of, I've often likened it in my brain to Jane Austen. It feels like when Emma realizes that there's no one she can marry but Mr. Knightley. It has all that sort of, as she puts it, with the speed of an arrow, she knows that she has to marry him, and that's how it is for Adina. And I hope that the audience will get that kind of buzz out of it that you do from a great bit of romantic literature like that. And I'd love people to have a spring in their step when they leave that opera house.